So today we are going on a little adventure in Crete. We are going on the Wild Crete for Adventure Seekers Quad Safari. So we've pre-booked it in advance. We've got our pickup at...
Coming at 8:35, they're going to pick us up directly from the hotel, then take us to the facility where we're going to be traveling to the different destinations. It's around, what, six hours long?
Yeah, 6 hours, and apparently it includes scenic coastal rides, a monastery visit, olive making guided tour.
You get to visit the beach as well. Obviously it comes with like fuel, you get water, you get, there's tons of stuff you get that's involved in it. Of course they cover you with insurance. You just got to bring your swimwear with you, and obviously some sunscreen and beach towel, and then comfortable shoes as well, because obviously they're stopping at 20 minutes so you can go around swimming if you want to go swimming. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. We'll give you guys some feedback and let you guys know what it's like. But yeah, it's called the Wild Crete. You can Google this up as well.
And it also has lunch included, which is pretty cool for the price. We will let you guys know the price at the end of the video, but yeah, comment below what you think the price is that we've spent on this throughout.
Nice, let's go.
Before we started the day, we wanted to make sure we were nice and fueled up, so we managed to grab some breakfast at our hotel before the pickup time. We were staying at the Cook's Club in Crete, and the breakfast here was really nice. I love sweet things in the morning, so I made sure I got myself some chocolate croissants, whereas Tevin opted for the omelette each morning. It was really, really nice breakfast here. Right on time, the tour guide then picked us up from our hotel, literally right outside, and we jumped in a minibus where he took us then to the Wild Safari Tours shop, where we managed to get all the gear. Here they had all the quad bikes, the helmets, literally everything that we needed for the day. They sized us up with the right helmets and also asked us to wear these super flattering blue hairnets to make sure the helmet stayed clean. After a quick demonstration on how to use the quad bikes, we were then off and we were driving through the streets of Crete. Obviously, I let Tevin drive the bikes, and I had a nice casual ride on the back. There was one other couple in our kind of tour party with us, and they were in front of us, and then obviously the tour guide is at the front, so we were at the back on the whole journey. Before we knew it then, we were literally in the middle of nowhere in the stunning mountains of Crete, and all these are olive trees. It was literally so beautiful. And it was only, say, an hour before we managed to get to our first stop, so it went really quick, the first hour of the journey. Here we are at our first stop of the tour, and this was a monastery in literally the middle of nowhere, but it was so beautiful, and the views from this monastery were stunning as well. We were offered some Turkish delight here by a really friendly gentleman, but me and Tevin were unsure what the sweet actually was, but we took it to be polite, but then had to Google what the sweet actually was, and it turned out that it was Turkish delight, and it was actually really nice, so it was very kind of him to offer it for us. We then jumped back on the quad bikes then to start part 2 of the journey. This then went quite quickly before we arrived at stop number 2 of our trip, which was an abandoned village right next to a lake, which is where we are at now. The tour guide told us that this lake in 2015 had actually flooded, and this is why this village had now been abandoned, because it had all flooded underwater. So we were literally walking around ruins, and when we headed into this church, you could see all the watermarks on the building, and it was just so crazy that this lake managed to flood that high due to extreme levels of rain. And here you can see on the sides of the walls where the water actually came up to, and the church was at the highest point of the village as well. So you can imagine how much of the village basically just got taken out with the water. But it was really interesting to see that some of this artwork had still remained in this church, and it was really pretty area to be in. We then headed out of the church and started walking down towards the lake, and obviously just admiring some of the abandoned houses. You could see like fireplaces, staircases within the houses that people had obviously just quickly left as the water was coming in, and it was really kind of spooky, but also kind of tranquil as well. We then headed down to the lake where the tour guide decided to have a little bit of a competition of who could get as many bounces as possible with throwing stones into the lake. Obviously Tevin was really up for the competition, and so was the other guy that we were with on the tour guide. But when he asked me to have a go, I literally epically failed and couldn't even make the stone bounce. So it was a good fun, and it was a nice little icebreaker to get away from the quad bikes, and obviously a little bit of a relaxation before we had to head back up through the abandoned village. After this, we then jumped back onto the quad bikes before we stopped at our third stop on our tour. It wasn't long on the quad bikes before we then arrived at the olive making factory. I would say this is probably one of the most interesting parts of the tour, as we had a lovely lady basically explain to us how olive oil is made and how they collect so many tons of olives from all the trees, and then how they make olive oil. They also had a really nice shop here that had literally everything you could imagine made out of olive oil, and different creams and face creams, and literally everything that you could imagine that you'd want to buy. Next up was the olive tasting masterclass that they put on, and we literally tasted so many different flavours, from orange, lemon, garlic. We also tried some different kind of olive paste, which was really unusual. We were eating them on these little breadsticks that are in this bucket that he was handing out, and we basically put them in a shot glass, and they again gave us the taster on top of that. And I will let you enjoy Tevin's reaction to the paste.
What flavor is this?
Sometimes with black olives, olive caponade, with the black olives.
With black olive.
She takes a lot of pictures there.
We both love the garlic olive oil the most, so we decided to stop in the shop and grab some garlic olive oil to take back home. This was then me driving the quad bikes to the next stop of our tour, which was basically to a mountain. Here we stopped at a base of a footpath that basically led us up to an abandoned cave, so we decided to trek up to the top where the views were absolutely stunning. And there was also a really random bell at the top of this, which obviously Tevin had to have a go and ring the bell, but honestly the views up here were amazing. We then had a quick look around the abandoned cave. It was really cold in the cave, which was actually quite refreshing. Seems it was so hot outside. It was finally lunchtime, and the tour guide took us down to a really remote, authentic restaurant for our lunch, and it was so beautiful here. There was like stables, there was dogs running around. It was just really authentic, and so many pretty horses here. The lunch was a preset menu, so you couldn't choose what you wanted, but I did request a vegetarian meal for my lunch, and they made me a really nice tomato pasta, which was absolutely stunning. And Tevin had some chicken and some potatoes, and we also had some kind of authentic salad as well, and bread for a starter. The meal was absolutely amazing, and it also was included in the price of our tour as well. It was finally time to head back down the mountains on the quad bikes after our lunch to head back to the shop. On the way back, we had to stop at a petrol station to make sure we fueled up the quad bikes. Obviously, we didn't pay for this, but it was something that the tour guide obviously needed to do, ready for his next tour. We then headed back along the road, obviously towards the shop, and this is some of my dodgy camera skills here, with my hand in the way, back to the shop. We then finally got dropped off back to our hotel in perfect timing. This tour was honestly amazing. It was one of my favourite things I did in Crete, and we would both highly recommend. Obviously, we mentioned at the start of this video that we would let you guys know the price at the very end, and obviously we want to know whether you guys think it was worth the price, so please let us know in the comments. But me and Tevin both think it was worth the money we spent, and we both spent €80 each on this tour, and it was a 6-hour day tour that we went on. Let us know in the comments if you would spend €80 on doing this for a day. Like I said, we would really highly recommend giving this a go and checking them out on social media if you are traveling to Crete. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share,